Hello, everybody. I'm Dusty Bubbles, Dusty Bodine. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. Probably know that if you follow my page. Um, I'm super excited. Hey, Genevieve, what's up? I'm here today to talk with a friend. I mean, a friend. This is gonna be our first time talking. I found his stuff on Facebook, and I loved his energy. Hey, friend. Oh, Genevieve. Gotta see you soon. What's up, Ezel? Phil Wood, all the homies are here. Brooke, what up? Sweet. So I found this. I just this guy we're gonna have on today. His name's Tony Wolfe Sibbald, and he is a 25-year Reiki practitioner, acupuncturist, and qigong practitioner. He's here. Tony, what up, Ezel? I miss you, buddy. So he's asked to join. Tony, we got a lot of friends here of mine. This is gonna be great. We're connecting. Tony,
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Nice to see you.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Oh my, it's so nice to have you here.
Well, thanks for having us on. It's a great idea. I say
Yeah,
it's really fascinating meeting so many amazingly cool people,
I know.
through all
And
this journey.
I know, right? And I was thinking, Tony, I was like, we leave comments on each other's content and we follow people and we like stuff. But I'm like, we have the technology. Like if I want to have a conversation with this beautiful man that I love all of his content and think he's hilarious and humorous and got a lot of nice things to say, I can just send you a message and say like, hey, let's have a conversation.
hmm I kind of got used to just typing for so many years that
Yeah.
I used to be in sales years ago, and used to have to use the phone all the time.
Uh-huh.
I think I just got tired of it. So then I fell into typing, and now I've discovered how much I've missed by actually just talking again to people. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are you talking to us from today?
So I'm based in Hamilton, Ontario, and that's in between, sort of halfway in between Toronto and Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with either of those,
Yeah.
my southern neighbor. And
Yeah.
right now it's like, I don't know, about -5 out Celsius, whatever that is Fahrenheit. So it's winter time,
Yeah.
and I miss the summer.
Did you still do your morning walk? I know you like to do morning walks.
I don't force it. That's why you don't see me do a morning walk every morning.
Yeah.
Depends how I feel that morning. Today I had a pretty heavy day in the clinic, so I just kind of let myself rest in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yesterday also I did my martial arts. I've gotten back into that. That kills my body right now. So usually the day after I kind of take it easy.
Yeah. Oh, my friend Phil is on here. He's one of my best friends. He was like, remember when we went to Niagara Falls when we were 17? Yeah, we did.
Did you go over the falls in a barrel?
No, no. We're there for the National Leadership Conference.
Nice.
We ran against each other for the state president of Oregon Association of Student Councils. That's where I'm
Yeah.
talking to you from Oregon. And he beat me, but then we became best friends. So
Okay, nice.
16, 18 years later.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's great. Well, next time you come up to Niagara Falls, whenever you're allowed across the border, then
Yeah,
give me a shout. Because
absolutely.
that's only about a 40-minute drive for me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself, Tony, and what you do. I don't know if everybody that's watching this or that will watch this knows, I know that you run a clinic called the Energy Clinic, and I read about the things you do there with Reiki and medical Qigong and acupuncture, but tell us a little bit about like how you got into these things, being who you are and how you're, helping people now at the Energy Clinic in Hamilton.
Sure. So I mean, my story goes, 27 years ago, my wife and I, we lost our first daughter, and I just say it filled me with so much anger and sadness, and I didn't realize it, and I thought I was this young guy that was impenetrable, and I just went back to work, and at that time I was running a marketing company here in Ontario, and I was filled with such energy that for the rest of that year, that we actually went on and won the top office in Canada at the district level. And so I got this big promotion. But the thing is that all through this time, all these emotions were building up inside of me, not in a good way, and they were draining me. And I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, just because I didn't know what else to do. And so I got really drained. I got really sick. For a couple of years, I was just on round after round of antibiotics. I stopped exercising. I ate Harvey's. Do you have Harvey's in the U.S.?
No, but I know what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Fast food, fries, Cokes. Anyway, my body just totally gave out.
Yeah.
And so I had to quit the job, and I lay on the couch. I was depressed, like mega depressed. And I wandered. Finally, after a week, I made myself get up, go to this local cafe. I met a friend who I knew, who I always thought was a little weird, right?
Yeah.
And she took one look at me and she goes, "You look terrible. You
Oh,
need this."
yeah.
And she gave me a flyer and it said Reiki on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it all started. And normally I would have laughed at her, like,
Yeah.
well, whatever, energy work, right?
Yeah.
But I was so far down, I thought I'd try anything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the journey began. And that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're still on it. You're still on the path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So along the way, I went back to school for acupuncture. I mean, the universe was giving me so many signals. So I learned Reiki back then, let's say 26 years ago. So I've been practicing Reiki for a long time, been a Reiki master for a long time. But I always did it part-time, always kind of under the table because I was still in marketing and finance.
Yeah.
And they didn't want me to be known as like the flaky financial advisor, right? So I had to keep it on the down low.
Yeah.
And for my 50th birthday, my wife bought me a time with a shaman to go on an animal drum journey, and it was so cool. And at the end, she goes, "You should be doing, this healing stuff full time." So I left the business world. That's when I started acupuncture, and I also was able to study with a medical qigong master for a number of years, which was really, really a big, big influence in my life. So in my clinic now, I do energy work primarily. Of course, I do acupuncture, but with the regulations here with our college, I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not with acupuncture. So I normally don't say anything about it. Once people in the clinic
Yeah.
and we're doing some energy work, next session, do you want to try some acupuncture? And
Gotcha.
that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. So Tony, when you like reflect and you look back on, all these things that your journey has brought you and, one thing kind of leading to the next, it sounds like, what is it that you think, starting with that, the very first time you got Reiki, why is it that you think that Reiki was able to help you get out of that dark hole that you were in, where you were tired and exhausted and felt drained? Like what is it? What did Reiki do to you?
That's a good question. I didn't know at the time. When I
Yeah.
look back now with what I do know, like a
Yeah.
lot changed for me when I started learning traditional Chinese medicine and about liver qi stagnation and the energy stagnating and getting drained. And so I realized that's what had happened to me. I was so angry and I never released it. And so that caused like this deep depression. And so when I was like the first Reiki session, I remember it was so weird. Like I
Yeah.
just felt something moving in me and it was so weird. And I didn't know what to think of it. It was like, it was beyond the scope of anything that, the magazines or TV had ever talked about. And
Yeah.
so that was my first inkling that there was more to health
Yeah.
than kind of what they were telling us.
Right. More than what meets the eye, we talk so much about in Chinese medicine about how stagnation causes pain and disease.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what we miss out on is kind of what you're talking about, is this emotional stagnation, and how, I think, even in the most ancient texts of traditional Chinese medicine, there are some schools of thought out there that would say that almost all of disease and all pain and all problems come from an imbalance in our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And how then that can then lead to different diseases. So I'm interested to hear more about, in your clinic, what are some of the things that you look for, or what are some of the things that, or how you educate your patients about how the importance of our emotional well-being and our emotional health?
Yeah, that's really amazing because, so many people that come in, they're so drained.
Yeah.
Like they're totally drained. And they feel like I felt back then, I can only imagine. Now I felt like I could feel nothing back then, really. And so they come in and many people feel they're broken. No one can feel as sad as I am or as depressed as I am, or anxiety is huge. Before COVID, there was a mixture of different emotions I would feel in people. Now it's pretty much everybody's just, they're so drained.
Mm.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And we don't get enough, people don't breathe properly enough anyway. Like we never taken enough oxygen. And you add on these freaking masks, right? And people are just, they're not bringing in the oxygen. They're not moving the chi, any of that stuff. So I'll just say I specialize primarily, and I can't say specialize, but I work a lot with people with mental, emotional stuff. So anxiety, depression, feeling stuck, feeling lost, because that's what I came from. And when my mentors were able to help bring me up again, it was amazing. And that's what I want to give back to the world.
Yeah. I have a similar story as you, Tony. That's
Tell me, please.
well, when I was in high school, I was an athlete and I wanted to play college baseball, and I broke my collarbone terribly and I had to have surgery. It was a compound fracture. I still have a titanium plate right here. And I got put on Percocet and lots of drugs. And because they decided not to do surgery in the beginning, that came later. And when you're young and you're an athlete, that's your identity. And then when that gets taken away, I went into a lot of depression. And
Mm-hmm.
but I had to be tough because I'm a man.
That's right. That's right, man.
I didn't get to tell my friends that I was feeling like shit. I had to pretend that I was okay. And then my mom said, you should talk to the drama teacher. He's a really amazing guy. And you have such a, you're so outspoken. You're a good communicator. I think you could be a good actor. So then I got into acting, and I ended up studying acting in college. And through the arts, because the people that are in the arts are a little different, I got led to things like yoga and meditation, and through meeting people who are artistic, who are in the arts.
Yeah.
And I think it was also like creativity is like that form of expression helps move emotions, right? Like,
for sure.
Like my first character that I played in a play was like this super angry guy, which was perfect, right? Because I had all this anger about my
You were
injury.
natural, right? Yeah.
I had to let it out. And then just to kind of fast forward, at the end of my college, I raised a bunch of money to do this film, and I was going to direct it, and I wrote it, and it completely failed. And so I raised all this money and it ended up being nothing. So then this kind of depression came back, and I ended up going to New Zealand, and I met this, he was a Reiki guy. He was Reiki, and he was a massage therapist and a healer. And he had never met me before. Someone just said I should go see him for a session. And he walked right up to me and he put his hand on, I don't know if he knew there was something there, but he put his hand on my collarbone. And he goes, I want you to know that this is healed, brother, and you don't have to judge it anymore. Because I used to be really closed off and kind of like feel like I couldn't be the same person I was because I had this metal in me, and then from then on, I started meditating and doing yoga and reading a lot of books about Chinese medicine because someone introduced me to Taoism. And then my depression and my anxiety and all this stuff, I started to really practice mindfulness and watch my mind and all of those sorts of things. And then I kind of fell back into that pattern again later in life, when I was in massage school, because I did massage school first because I thought that was the best way to get into healing because it was kind of low stakes and go to massage school, how that goes. And I started getting acupuncture when I was in massage school. And then that's when I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. Because again, it moved something in me where then I felt like I could be like grounded and present in the world again. I remember after my very, very first acupuncture session I ever had, I went to the grocery store after it, and one of my friends saw me and they're like, "What's up with you, man? you look so good. Like, amazing. And I'm like, I just got acupuncture. And, and then from then on, that's the journey I've been on ever since. And, that first acupuncture session was 10 years ago.
Wow.
10
Wow.
years later, I'm now an acupuncturist and a body worker. And then as I've finished studying my studies, I then have gotten back into the arts. So now I'm back doing creative things every day, because I think for me, like I was saying earlier, I think that creativity, I noticed that when I started back into being creative again and writing and performing, I felt like I was better in the clinic.
Yeah, well, I think people get disconnected, right? I mean, that's what I tell people all the time, because when we're doing energy work or Reiki or Qigong or any of that, in my opinion, it's all about just reconnecting with the source, with God, however you
Yeah.
want to think about it. And so people ask, what can I do at home? Because in this, in the clinic, we're getting stuff moving, opening, moving. What can they do at home? I say, you can stretch, you can do yoga, you can do Tai Chi, you can dance, you can sing, what are the things you used to love to do? Because we forget what made us who we are, because of the world. We have to do all these important adult things, right?
Right.
So like last night, for my meditation, what I did was I opened my curtains,
Yeah.
watched a little bit of snow falling, and I had like punk music and old rock music, and I was just jamming on my pillow like for an hour, just nah, nah, nah. And it's like just so freeing. It's so amazing. This is what
Yeah.
I used to do
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. My first Qigong teacher would say that what you did last night with your headphones is Qigong.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
everything is energy. Like everything is energy. You
Yeah.
know, so I've done Reiki for a long time, and I remember when I first started learning Qigong with this Qigong master, and I said, "Oh yeah, I do Reiki. I'm Reiki master, whatever." And he goes, "Oh Reiki," and he looks like down on me. I go, well,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool." And then I'm talking later to some Reiki people. I go, "Yeah, I'm learning Qigong." They go like Qigong, right? But everything is connected. Like
Yeah.
there's no difference. If
Yeah.
you're doing yoga or Tai Chi or singing, everything is energy work, acupuncture, everything's energy.
Yeah, that's something I mentioned to my students a lot. So I teach at a massage school, and that's something I mention all the time. Is I say it's very important that we don't talk down or bad about other modalities. It's very, very important,
Hmm.
because I hear that a lot, in different fields, and I just think it's so important because, you know, chiropractic could be perfect for this one person and change their life. To me, it's so much about the practitioner and the relationship between the patient or the client and the practitioner versus what modality it is. Like, you
Exactly.
know what
Yeah.
I mean?
So when I'm talking to my
Yeah.
Reiki students,
Yeah.
I'm always telling them that you bring in your own particular background, because I have teachers, business people, yoga instructors, like all sorts of different people who come to learn Reiki, and mostly it's for a self healing journey. But for those that do want to share it with others, they're going to have something about them that other people are going to connect with, right? That they're not going to connect with other people. Like some of the students ask me, why are you teaching me how to do Reiki? Because I'm in your area. Won't I take away some of your clients? And I say, well, probably you might, but those people will probably never call me, right? We're all attracted by destiny somehow, right? Like if I was in your area, I would go to you for treatment because I just feel this connection, man. I just
Oh,
feel this connection.
back at you. Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of one of my first massage teachers who I just loved. His name's John Hart. He would always say, "You're a better practitioner for your clients," and we were students at the time. Meaning, like, you're 25 years senior and you do all this amazing work, and everybody's, you walk in the room and everyone's like, "Oh, John Hart, this guy's amazing, everyone loves him." But like he would say, like, "No, you're better for your people, I promise." And that always stuck with me too. And I think as a teacher, what that did for me is, like, my main job is to instill that kind of confidence within my students, that there are people out there who aren't looking for massage or Reiki, they're looking for you.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember one of my students who did Reiki Master with me, and she was certain of the type of clientele. It was a certain age group that she would get. She was sure of it, right? So then she went out and She just kind of let people know. And then she thought she was going to get like 20-year-old females. Instead, she got all senior citizen women, every one of them, right? And for whatever reason, what she had was really what they needed.
Yeah. Yeah. What it's interesting that we're talking about this because this is something I've been contemplating a lot is attraction. Like
Mutual attraction, yes.
exactly. Yeah, Marcus, that's a former we went to acupuncture school together. Nice to see you, Marcus. Yeah, the mutual attraction. It's like I think for me too, we go to a little bit of Taoism here. It's like that attraction stuff that happens to us, right? It's like whether it's good or whether it's bad, it could be there to help us expand our capacity to love or expand our capacity to be our more fuller selves. So like being able to have that kind of equanimity even in the most difficult and hard times because like it's kind of hard to say that sometimes out loud, like, okay, am I attracting this difficult patient towards me or am I attracting this difficult situation? What do you think about that?
I think, well, I mean, I think we are. Whatever's happening is meant to happen, right?
Yeah.
We all have a flow, a river of life that we're supposed to go down to, and so I've been studying with intensely with a Taoist priest for the past couple of years, and it's been amazing and life changing.
Mm.
Because like my medical qigong master who passed earlier this year, I remember when I first started studying with him, he said, I think I could see you as a Taoist priest. And I didn't know what the heck he was talking really about at the time. But then after a while, something came in and I started looking for someone. So I've been studying with him and we talk a lot about fear and,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety and scarcity, lack of, whatever mind frame you have. I don't even know where I was going with this, but, sometimes if we're operating in that framework of scarcity, of fear,
Mm-hmm.
right, then that's not really where we're supposed to be going because there's enough of everything. There's enough for whatever you need. And we
Yeah.
need to operate from that, love from abundance. There's
Yeah.
enough of everything. And don't
Yeah.
fight it. Don't resist.
Yeah. 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 You're speaking about the water element. So Tony's talking about fear, and fear is connected to the water element in Chinese medicine. Often it's connected to our kidneys, right?
Hmm.
I also have, I also think that a lot of our ability to like be still and reflect is also related to the water element and the bladder, more specifically. So I think for me, it's like to feel that abundance around me. It's like we have to conserve and be still sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
moments of stillness. And these are the kinds of questions I like to ask my clients and my patients. I ask them things like, "How do you experience stillness?" Because when I'm asking somebody, what I'm actually asking them is, "How is your water element?"
Yeah. But
Yeah.
what do they say? Because so many people have been raised that you have to be on the go. I know that I was. When I was in the marketing company, if I wasn't, and it is that time of year, if I wasn't in my office, all the time working hard, then I was failing. So it took a long time for me to learn that you got to sometimes just step back
Yeah.
and chill out
Yeah.
and let go and let
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Well, so much of the magic is in the questioning. That's why I love
Hmm.
the style. So I practice a style of Chinese medicine that's based off five element style, where a lot of the questions that I do ask are more like emotional based. So I'm asking a lot about anger, I'm asking about communication, but in those questions, I'm really asking about the makeup of those elements and how they're perform and how they're working. And so I think when I ask that question, how do you experience stillness? Usually it's in a patient I could tell that needs to reflect on that question. you know,
Hmm.
in my office and they're giving me one word answers and they look very still and calm. It's like, I probably wouldn't ask that question.
So you probably attract to you people that would connect with those questions because what do you find
Yeah.
of the advice or questions that you give people, what do you find they resist the most?
Hmm. What do they resist the most?
Because it's often what they need the most.
Right. It's a good question. I mean, a couple things came up. Um, one of them that comes up is like they a feeling of self-compassion and self-worth, that they tend to be people who are very busy and are very high functioning and are very like own a business, or they have like 20 employees to take care of, and they have two kids and a husband, and so like really high functioning people. But there's not this like it's like it's an inactive earth, it's a overactive earth element, because the earth element is a lot about compassion and caring for
Mm-hmm.
others. And so it's like this overactive of like, I care more about the well-being of other people than myself. And when that's in excess, it can cause problems.
So let's say that's a universal concept, because I get the same thing here in Canada, man. Believe it or not,
Yeah.
everybody that comes in, man, they're saying, I don't take care of myself. I give, I give, I give, I give. I need to come in and get refilled. And so the challenge is, getting people to think that they're worthy, because so many people, something's happened to them earlier in life. I get a lot of people who have suffered abuses and different things from this country, from different countries, and their own value is lacking. And I just tell them I'm trying to fill them with love, like with self-love. I do this meditation where allow your heart to fill with self-love, because people have to learn that they're worth taking time to take care of.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one else is going to do it.
Yeah. And isn't it just like, I think we have one of the coolest jobs on the planet. It's like when you see that light bulb go off in somebody and they feel that love for the first time, or they feel it for the first time in a long time. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the best. I mean, it's the best feeling to witness that. I mean, it's like such a privilege to witness somebody feel that kind of love for themselves on your table.
Yeah, like that's a total transformation. And I'm always so honored. Like I thank them for allowing me to be a part of their journey, for being able to share in their energy, because it's amazing.
Absolutely.
You're right. It just, whoa,
Yeah.
blows
Yeah. And,
away.
yeah. Absolutely. And yes, because I think when that happens and you give them your thanks, it's like they can really feel it, because like because our gratitude is so real. It's like you have no idea what you just did for me. One of my favorite things to think about is, who teaches the teachers? It's the students. You know,
Hmm.
who who heals the healers? The patients are.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like
So I
relationship.
was saying, so I was just saying, like, there's so much anxiety out there, and what my Taoist Shifu was talking about was one of the ways he views anxiety is that it's the difference between people's expectations and reality. And so sometimes, and so I get my clients right now, I've been on a big thing, getting them to look at their expectations, and their assumptions of
Mm,
life and what they go into, because people sometimes have these totally unrealistic expectations, even for themselves
right.
and for their success, things that no one could ever live up to. And
Right.
so if they're not hitting that, that creates an internal tension,
Yeah.
and that's an anxiety. So
Yeah.
that's another way that he was teaching me to help people to sort of to look at anxiety.
Yeah, that's such a Taoist principle. I haven't thought about it in that way. That's really neat that you brought that up. To think about the relationship between being a Taoist, practitioner or student, and expectations, because expectations really aren't a thing in Taoism.
Right. Well, they're not supposed to be. They're
Exactly.
not. So I'm doing a free course for people. It's like an 8-week course with 10-minute lessons in it. And the one I just recorded last night was about expectations. And I was just sharing, there's this fellow I've been following on social media, and he was running a weekend boot camp, and my expectations were so high that
Yeah.
when I sat through the boot camp, I left so disappointed. There's no way he could have lived up to whatever I had built it up. And
Yeah.
it really it dragged me down. And that was a big lesson for
Yeah.
me, to just go in and just be there, and
Yeah.
just wherever you are, whatever you're doing, don't assume things, don't judge things, don't expect things. Just let yourself be. And
Uh,
it's like I was like, be a kid again, be a kid again, have some wonder.
yeah. Yeah. That's funny you say that, because we had a question. It was, what are the universal ways to teach people to express self-love? And then someone below that wrote, self-love, inner child, mirror work as their answer.
So one of the things I get people to do is just write a list of everything they've ever accomplished that they're proud of. And sometimes it's really surprising for people that they can make this huge list. And I say it could be, as anything as tiny, as insignificant
Yeah.
as you want.
Yeah, because I think what we're talking about is when you have someone do exercises like that and they're able to feel that, this being that we're talking about is more accessible.
Mm-hmm.
This lack of expectation. Because I feel like you talk to that, I will say those kinds of things to somebody, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like expectations, or if I don't have a agenda, if I don't have any goals, if I don't I'm never going to do anything. What do you mean just sit there and not think about anything? So I feel like, a lot of what we're talking about too is like the inner groundwork to be in that place. And for me, that's why it's like a daily reminder. It's like, I have to do that work every single day. It's not like, all of a sudden you have being and you can be. No way. It's like something that visits you, I feel like, and you have to access it, on a daily basis. Yeah.
Yes. So daily meditation, I mean, meditation was something I could never do for years because I had, I think, false expectations of what I thought meditation had to be. That you had to be in this perfect Zen, where nothing disturbed you, and I could never get that.
Yeah, we know that's so far from the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you do that daily, and that's why I think having mentors, to help guide us. And so I've always had some amazing mentors in different areas of my life. I didn't used to, because I used to think I had to do it all alone. I had to do it all by myself, or I was a failure. These are the things I've had to sort of relearn.
Yeah.
Right? So now I'm sure there's so much that I could learn from you. One of the things I love about you is that, I think you're Taoing your Tao, man. Like you're doing your stuff. I'm your kidney song. I'm like, oh yeah, kidney song, right? You got that going. You got your clinic going. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It's, thank you. Yeah. I feel, I think there's some line in the Tao Te Ching. It's like this, I'm going to paraphrase it. It's something like, oh, that was me long ago. Now this is me now. Like, I feel like I'm saying that to my friends and people who've known me all the time, is because it's like, if I'm, whatever's attracting, it's like, I just go for it and I just have done it. I just go for it right now. So thanks for that reflection. Cause I'm like, it's such a fun mystery. I don't know where, I'm a rapping Chinese medicine. I'm a new dad. I have a new 6-month-old. Like, I don't know where my life is going. I have no idea. And I loved that when you and I were messaging back and forth to set up this conversation, we were kind of like, well, what are we going to talk about? And we're like, we don't know. Whatever. Like, I don't know.
Because how can we know anything, right? We really can't.
Yeah.
We really can't.
Yeah. I feel like I'm very grateful that I've matured more into that feeling of I don't know-ness, because I feel like it's helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've always been lucky. I've had supportive people on my journey, because, going from being a financial advisor and running a marketing business to getting into, Reiki and energy work, it's not necessarily a natural combo there. But I've always, my wife and my kids, they may roll their eyes at me sometimes, man. My kids, they're now like, 26 and 23 now. And so it's been a long time. I saw you with your little one there. It's been a long time since they were that small. But they've always been supportive and allowed me to just kind of go where I need to go. But I think that's what you got to do in life. So many people are afraid because people are telling them you have to be this or you have to do it this way. It starts in school, right? When they try to encapsulate you. You gotta just stop resisting, because as you say, we have this flow in life. We're supposed to just go with it. No matter how weird it may seem to anyone else, it really doesn't matter. You got to do you. You got to do you.
Yeah. That's the Eastern definition of the word virtue. There's like a lot of times in the West, we think of virtue having to do with morals and ways that we're supposed to be living. But Alan Watts, one of my favorites. He loves to talk about
Hmm.
Tao Te Ching, and he describes this the way of virtue. And basically, what we're talking about is like your virtue is you living your zenith, you living who you were meant to be, and
Yeah.
that doesn't always fit into side a box.
Right.
And
That's the do, right? Yeah. That's like the power and the virtue and
like if you
exact.
started reading a book about plumbing tomorrow and like fell in love with plumbing and quit the energy clinic and started to become a plumber, you know, people would probably think you're crazy. But what if that could happen?
It could happen. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I bought an old used Jeep, and I've always wanted a Jeep for as long as I can remember. But I was always, I don't know, afraid to do it because I wasn't like a Jeep dude, man. So I
Yeah.
bought this old used Jeep, and tomorrow I've been studying. I'm going to go and take some rust off. These are things that I've never done in my life, never cared to do in my life, anything
Yeah.
mechanical. But I told my wife, and she goes, "Oh, good for you, honey. That's right." Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just going, just going with the flow.
Yeah. Someone plumbing works under pressure and gravity. Nice.
So I want to talk to you also. I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and so some of the videos I've been making have been
Yeah.
about us getting tougher. Not necessarily physically, it could be mentally, it could be emotionally, because I think that today a lot of kids and stuff are raised to the point where you're not allowed to feel any tension or any challenge. And so when something like COVID happens,
Right.
it's such a shock. It's so far out of their normal reality, right? And this could be for us, in civilization in general, that it seems boom so hard. But you talk to someone who's been through the war, and this is like nothing. And so, my shifu was saying, we have to start to do things outside of our norm. We have to educate ourselves more. We have to learn more. And so I've been, I went back to martial arts. I haven't done it for 25 years, and my body kills after it, right? But it's like awesome, and I
Yeah.
feel like alive, man. And then so I've been just reading and studying and more mentors. And,
Yeah.
and so that's something I've been challenging people to do is to find out how can you get tougher? Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it what's outside of your element? Can you just sleep
Right.
on the floor tonight, instead
Yeah.
of in your bed?
Right.
And I think that this is going to help people with anxiety. If
Yeah.
people can just increase their resiliency,
Yes.
then when things that are out of the norm happen, it won't seem so bad.
Yeah. I really like that. Yeah. I definitely see how like we need that. A lot of us need that kind of more of that toughness and resiliency. Because I feel like um, in a way, it is a form of love. And I think a lot of times we think of love as being like this soft, kind of like light, all that kind of stuff. But no, love can be super fierce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about is like being able to have this like, have that Tai Chi pull up straight and have this strength. You're like you're there for other people. You're there for yourself first, and then you're there for those around you. So it's like being able to build your resiliency. It's like, um, how do you love the hard stuff? How do you like how like taking apart your Jeep or like doing martial arts and you come home and your body hurts and it's like all sore, and then like how do you change your frequency or your attitude to be like, oh, I actually love this feeling. I love
Yeah.
discipline because it makes me feel good about myself, and it helps me have more emotional strength so that when the shit hits the fan, I'm the guy in the room or the person in the room going, what do we got? That's being the leader. That's coming from the heart. So I like that. I think I do see that a lot. My mom is a middle school music teacher, and she's telling me all the time.
That's tough.
Yeah, yeah, especially right now with COVID. And she's telling me all the time, she's like, my mom's super tough. My mom has no problems with the things that you're talking about. And she
Mm-hmm.
instilled that in us. I remember my mom always used to say, because I have two brothers, and my mom would say, she goes, I never said I was raising boys. I always said I was raising men. Um,
Hmm.
in this sense of like, protector and leader kind of role. And so she tells me, she's like, a lot of the younger kids I see today, that they're weak.
I just think they lack, I don't know,
Yeah.
they lack confidence, like in themselves and their abilities. If you've never been tested,
Yeah.
how can you know what you can do? Like I remember years back, we went on vacation, my parents and I, to St. Kitts. It's this village, an island in the Caribbean, and there's like this volcano, right? And I'm afraid of heights, like totally. But so this tour guide, and who knows what his qualifications were, man. But we went up, we climbed up this volcano thing. It took us at least a couple hours, and then we had to go. He goes, okay, we'll go down now. And about half the people chose not to, and I was going to say no, but he said, there's like these cool sulfur things at the bottom. Come on down. I said, okay. So I came down and I was like terrified, but I made it to the bottom, and it had rained. So as we're trying to go back up, there's a lot of mud. And so some of the people, I was still young back then, right? And, so although I'm still young. Yes, I am. He said, okay, you come last. I'll go first. You come last. Your job is to help people get up. So I would go on a ledge, and then they would climb on my shoulder, and my face would be stuck in the mud, and they would go up. You know, it's like, holy crap, it was terrifying. But we all got up. And I can't tell you what that did for my confidence. It was amazing. And I look back at that story always.
Yeah. Yeah. What a gift that was, to have to be that guy.
Yeah, so sometimes being in adversity isn't a bad thing. It's not what happens, it's how we react to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
There's
that,
a difference between, transforming a challenging moment into an opportunity, looking at all as opportunity. But also the things that we're talking about, though, this was a question that I had wanted to talk to you about, is like, how do we get this information that we're talking about more out into our communities? Because I feel like this isn't talked about as much especially in the schooling system. It's not talked about. So like these conversations that we're having, there's some people that never hear this kind of stuff ever in their life, ever, or not until they're in their 20s or 18 or older. And then it's kind of, and it's like, we've already, by then there's so many neural pathways that are already, I'm not good enough, da da da. Take a while to reform those neural pathways. So what do we do, Tony?
that's a great. I mean, I've built up our little, my wife, she does osteopathy here in the clinic. And so we built up our little energy clinic, pretty good. I'd say it's bigger than I would have anticipated, and I'm very blessed and grateful for that. But then I think about, it's limited just to this local area. And so when COVID hit and we had to close our clinic for 3 months, that's when I started trying to make some online courses. But then again, just getting that out there is the hardest thing. But it's people like yourself, Dusty, that are taking the opportunity to bring people together in events like this, just reaching out. I think that's really the only way that it's going to happen. It's one person at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you
think? It was like, it doesn't matter what we're going to talk about. I just know that inside me, my intention is that I hope that we can have a conversation that is beneficial. And I already know that it is, because it's benefiting me. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing feeling your energy. Whoa. It's amazing feeling your energy.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, I feel like visual and voice is part of that. It's like, because I know I've seen people ask if you can do Reiki, through the internet, and I really feel like you can do a lot of amazing work. I did some telemedicine. I don't do Reiki, but I did some telemedicine when COVID hit with patients, and we basically just meditated on acupuncture points, and find them, and we just talk about them, and wow,
that's really cool.
The results were really powerful.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because I think it's voice is a form of physical touch. Voice is a frequency and a vibration. And so I felt the same about you, Tony. It was just watching your videos. I'm like, that guy's energy and his frequency is great, because I think you're funny and you're lighthearted, and I think a lot of.
Hold on. Can you say that again?
I think you're funny.
Lisa, are you listening to this, dear?
Yeah.
She always says I got the Sibbald humor, which apparently isn't a good thing, but I think it's great. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I can do, you can do distance Reiki, and some people like it, enjoy it more than the in-person Reiki for whatever reason. I feel more connected when I'm, in the room. And one thing I've found really, really important is human touch right now, especially so when I'm doing my sessions and just the human touch on different areas. Holding someone's hand during a session is one of the most powerful things that I think I could tell anybody to do because we
Yeah.
don't get it anymore.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about pulse reading in a way.
Hmm.
Because and when I take their pulse, I hold their hand with one hand, and then I take their pulse with the other. And I do this thing now where I have the patient lie down right away, and I start holding their hand and checking their pulse right at the beginning. And sometimes I've ended up holding a patient's hand for like 45 minutes.
Yeah. No,
But go ahead.
so I just gonna say, like, if you think about going to a regular doctor, for example, it's very cold and personal, and to go be able to go into a room where someone's supporting you in the way that you just talked about it is amazing. And for the body to heal, the body has to be in a deep state of relaxation. So when I first got acupuncture, I was so nervous. I'm like sweating like a pig, right? So nervous. And even when I needle myself, I still get nervous because I hate needles, right? But once it's in, I go, oh, yeah, that's nothing. It's right. I forgot. But to have doing that and putting their body in that deep state, that's really the only way the body can heal. So it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, hmm.
I was going to ask, I had written a question. What's
Yeah.
the biggest tip that you want to share? Yeah, just for now, these days, the biggest tip about anything
Man,
for
we've given
people.
tips.
No, but we weren't sharing the biggest ones, man. I want the biggest one, the one you're holding back.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, and we've kind of already talked. I mean, this is my thing. This is my my message that I tell a lot of people, and that's slow down. It's really simple, but I'm not just talking about slowing down like your activity. I'm literally talking about slowing down. Like when you go to the grocery store and you are in the parking lot, sit in your car for 2 minutes and just breathe before you get out of your car.
Hmm.
That's it. Like, don't be in a hurry and take a moment to pause your eternal internal story about what's happening in your life and just give it a break every day, multiple times a day for little tiny moments. Because the more we do that, the more we slow down. I think the more um, we kind of break up the circuitry of what
Hmm.
that those strong pathways, and then we can have what's called a pivot, where all of a sudden you a new way of feeling emerges. And I think these little times of slowing down, they create not just momentum in your life outwardly, because that will. Like the slower you move, a lot of times the more you get done. I don't know how that's a universal law, but I, from my personal, I found that work. But then you also create this kind of inner momentum. And when you're taking those pauses to slow down, if you are a Christian, I would say pray. You can pray. If you don't have a religion, I'd say you could feel gratitude for something in your life. You could pick a person. You could pick a thing that just totally you love, or you can just be still. I mean, it's just that I just feel like we just all are moving way too fast. You know, we all just are moving way too fast, and because it's that slowing down and that pausing and that breathing is that you get to experience like, oh my goodness, I'm a human and I'm alive and I'm in this body, and wow, like this is amazing. And I feel like the more you do that, the more you start to trust your own life and trust life itself. Because I think trust is a feeling that our bodies like more than any other feeling in the world. And
Hmm. So
yeah, so it's about you know, the end goal in slowing down is to build this kind of trust inside of you and inside of life that you know, you step into the river and you're like, all right, I'm just following this river now.
Faith like gravity is giving some golden nuggets there in the comments.
Yeah.
Comment after comment. Those are great comments.
Awareness of present now, yeah. The abundant love, that sounds like that's a practice that may be out there.
Yeah, so it's all, as you said, it's all just about quieting the mind, quieting the monkey mind, the discursive mind, and just living from the heart, you know, instead of the mind. Because, you know, my Shifu always says the mind is a liar, right? And Taoism is kill the mind, to quiet the mind and live from the heart, just like you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, and literally, I'm talking about literally moving slow too. Like, get up to go to the bathroom, like literally go slow for a day. Like, just do everything a lot slower and see how that affects your nervous system.
And just do one thing at a time.
Yes.
No multitasking.
Yes. Yeah. My Qigong teacher talks about that a lot, like with the cell phones nowadays. She says what it's doing is that it's splitting people's spirits over and over again. It's like, because you're doing so many things at once, that when you're, you know, like reading and doing this, and like when you're, you know, the multi-screen thing. Yeah.
A great lesson for me was my wife and I, for my 50th birthday, we decided there's a trail up here called the Bruce Trail, and it would take like a couple of months to hike it, but we decided to do one from Hamilton to Niagara. So it took us 5 days, and so we just put this phone away and we just walked, you know, and then when we got to wherever we were staying for the night, you know, just resting was so amazing, and I learned that I could survive 5 days without a cell phone, without any technology. People should try it, because we think, you know, oh my God, I forgot my phone, I have to go back, like what am I going to do? But, you know, we survived. Like, I'm older than you, man, so I can go back in time. I don't know, we had like the rotary phones, we didn't have cell phones, there was no computers. Like, how did we ever live? How did my parents ever get a hold of me when I was a kid? Like, I don't know, but somehow we survived.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just for an hour sometimes. Or you're like, sometimes what I do is it's like 8 o'clock at night or 8:30 at night. And some nights I'll just be like, okay, I'm going to go put my phone on its charger and put on airplane mode. Like, no more phone the rest of the night. That just little acts like that, because what we're really talking about is, you know, too, is like really getting to know our inner life and having more of an inner life. And then, you know, your outer life will change.
Yeah, I think that's a big secret. So what time is it, man? I don't have a clock anywhere.
Yeah, it's 9:54. We should probably wrap it up. We'd do about an hour. And
yeah, that was awesome. Time flew.
Yeah.
We should do this again.
Yeah, let's do it again. And it was just so awesome to I felt like I already knew you. I felt like I've already talked to you for some reason. And so this was great to do it. And thank you for everybody that commented and chimed in. And it's a gift you're giving yourself to slow down and, you know, take in a moment like this and hear people talk about, you know, just you know, getting to know yourself better and trying to better the world.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all,
right? Just change, you know, I just tell people, just change yourself. Like, the energy all around us, so much fear and emotions. Like, if you can just work on yourself and just cultivate yourself, just cultivate your own energy. And this was an epiphany I had when I was hiking one day, and I thought, if I could just raise my own energy, then anybody else around me is going to be affected by that. And so if all of us just raise our own energy, the world could change like instantly. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and then it's not about your words anymore. It's just about your presence will do the talking. Yeah.
So we need more people like you in the world, brother. You need to keep doing what you're doing. You need to keep sharing your message and making those songs and making acupuncture fun and able people to connect with it. You got to keep doing it.
Thanks, Tony. I will.
All right.
Okay. Blessings. Have a good.
Peace, brother. Woo! Okay.
Bye,
Talk
man.
to you. Bye.